Hello and welcome to Fridays with Phil, brought to you by U.S. Black Chambers, Inc. I'm your host, Philip W. Dunn, Program Manager with the U.S. Black Chambers, Inc. On behalf of our president, Ron Busby, our board, and our staff, I want to wish you all of our viewers, a happy National Black Business Month. Now, in our community, the month of August is a national holiday which was created back in 2004. So we did this in order to reach venture capitalists, government officials, and community leaders in order to focus on a more hospitable environment for Black firms to grow and build sustainability. Now, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, our most recent survey of business owners, there are 2.6 million Black-owned businesses in the country today. And here at the USBC, we are celebrating all month long by developing quality programming to help our member businesses thrive and succeed. Now, we're also showcasing local Black businesses in an effort to help raise awareness. Now, today's very special guest, he really needs no introduction. His name is Marcus Davis. He's the host of Fish and Grits and Politics. He's also an entrepreneur, a restaurateur, and he's a motivational speaker. Now, he's the spirit and entrepreneurial mastermind behind the Breakfast Club, the Reggae Hut, the Alley Cat Bar and Lounge, and he's also the mastermind behind Kulture. Now, Marcus Davis is best known for his charismatic personality, his authentic customer appreciation, and his tireless commitment to the communities in which he serves. Now, here's one of the things I really like about Marcus is that he applies community in his guiding principle in his business and his personal life. Now, he's created one of the most phenomenal restaurant success stories in the country by using this principle of community. Now, the concept for the Breakfast Club, it was born after Marcus, he's a native Houstonian, so he recognized that there's a void in the marketplace for a unique breakfast restaurant serving signature items in a soulful and a relaxed community environment. There goes that word again, community. So since opening in September of 2001, the Breakfast Club has become a top tourist attraction, as well as a top local favorite breakfast spot, which lines up droves of cheerful patrons on a daily basis. Now, in addition to the Breakfast Club, Marcus has added to his restaurant portfolio the Reggae Hut, which specializes in Caribbean cuisine, the Alley Cat Bar and Lounge, and most recently, Kulture, which is an urban comfort kitchen. Now, as the host of Fish, Grits, and Politics, we won't go too much into politics today, but Marcus Davis, he dishes a hearty helping of information to help feed young minds forever. Now, this show is based on a simple premise. Instead of giving a person one fish so that they can eat today, he tries to teach them to fish so that they can eat for a lifetime. This next point is very important. My wife would beat me up if I didn't mention this. Marcus attended and earned a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science at Texas Southern University and HBCU right here in Houston, Texas. He's a highly sought after motivational speaker. He credits his success to the support of his family. Not surprisingly, he places a special emphasis on spending time with his four beautiful girls, his wife, Mel, his mother, Betty, his two daughters, London and Bailey Harrell, and his son, Joshua Raymond. So without further ado, I want to bring you all, I want to welcome Marcus Davis to another edition of Fridays with Phil. Marcus, how are you today, sir?
Yeah, I'm fantastic, man. Thanks for the invite, brother. I appreciate it, and I appreciate that that eloquent introduction.
Well, you know, it's one of the things that we have to do for our special guests. Want to make sure that we really recognize the work that you've done. Really appreciate your commitment and being here on Fridays with Phil, sponsored by the USBC as well. So, Marcus, I want to get things started because a lot of people had a lot of questions for you, but we really want to start out with business first. Can you tell us about your business journey, how you got started, and how you got to where you are today?
Man, I got started by something you mentioned. By my definition of entrepreneurship is filling a void in a marketplace that the marketplace is calling for consciously or subconsciously, and that's how I got started. Looking around the city of Houston to see what was missing, what was needed, what was desired, what was being demanded, and bringing that into fruition, bringing that into the marketplace. The city of Houston at the time didn't have an eatery in Midtown, a breakfast eatery. Houston lacked a number of things, including a soulful Southern style breakfast restaurant. And the African American community in the city of Houston lacked representation nationally in terms of being recognized in Houston for a great cuisine. So we wanted to put the food in Houston on the map. We wanted to put the grits on the map. You understand what I'm saying? Put the grits on the map. So that's how I got started, filling the void in the marketplace.
Well, I mean, beyond that, beyond just filling the void in the marketplace, like
Yeah.
you graduated with a political science degree. How did you get in the kitchen? What led to this concept
Yeah.
of, picking up pots and pans and bringing the grits to the marketplace?
So let me make a slight adjustment. I know you mentioned we're not going to deal too much in politics, but it's impossible to do so. As my mentor once taught me, everything is a political statement, including the flushing of a toilet and the washing of a dish, because the water that comes out of that sink and the water that goes down that toilet are governed by municipalities. So your everyday walk and talk is governed by politics, especially if you're an entrepreneur, if you're in business. Every single piece of red tape and every single golden opportunity has a shroud of politics surrounding me. So yes, I majored in politics, political science in undergrad, and then I went off to go into business, and I used my position in business as a community entrepreneur, as an activist, to affect change, particularly in the political system. How did I make that transition? I grew up in food. I grew up around great food. My father was a fantastic cook. He was an educator by profession, but he was also a great caterer, cook by passion. And I picked that desire to entertain, to create spaces where people desire to fellowship and make memories. I picked that up from him. That's how I got into the food business. Started working for him as a kid when I was when I was around 9 or 10 years old, and he had a catering business. And then I started working in fast food when I became a teenager. And after I stayed in corporate for a while, and then I left and came and opened a restaurant, fill that void in the marketplace.
See, that's the leap that I want to focus in on, right? Because many of us, we start out, we work for corporate America, or we're working at some other entity, right? And then we develop a passion or something that we want to pursue. How is it that you made that leap and you were brave enough, fierce enough to make that happen?
How did I make that leap? I wish I could show you. I pulled out a yellow legal pad and wrote my letter of resignation. And that's it, man. I was at work on my lunch break. I had left food corporate and had moved into another industry. But I was at work on the lunch break, and was dabbling the restaurant. I mean, the entrepreneur in me was dabbling in different ventures. And while working on it, I found an ad for a vacant restaurant building. And so went down, take a look at it, called the lady, set up a meeting with her, went down, took a look at it the next day. And that was all she wrote. I knew that it fit into where I was supposed to be, and the place where I was. I loved it dearly, but I had a calling that I had to respond to, that I had to answer. And that was entrepreneurship.
All right, now I appreciate you sharing that with us, because a lot of the folks that are watching may be just starting out, or they've taken the leap and maybe they're kind of second guessing themselves. And I want to go into, once you started this business, it's more than just making the catfish and grits, right? It's dealing with customer service. It's making sure that your processes are sound and operating effectively. What are some of the steps that you've taken to ensure that in building your brand, that every time someone goes to the Breakfast Club or any of your brands, that they get the consistent level of service, the consistent quality of meals as well? What do you do to make sure that happens?
You know, we do exactly that, Phil. The idea of consistency, you have to set the standard of who you are and what you're going to be about. And that was something that we were very deliberate and intentional on from the get-go. I wanted to make sure that if you came here on Monday, you got the same thing that when you came here on Thursday, and if you came here the following Tuesday, you got the same thing you got the previous Wednesday. And that is so incredibly important because I recognize that consistency for smaller, independent startup restaurants, that was one of the uphill battles, making sure that it was consistent. Where I had spent years perfecting consistency in the food for a corporate food chain, and I wanted to be able to do that independently and be able to do that for my community. You know, typically in 1999, 1998, when I wrote up this business plan, we still operated by who's cooking today, right? Who's back there cooking today? And I had a recurring response, which is the system. We cook by person. I mean, we cook by process, not by person. And that is the role of the entrepreneur, to set the standard on on consistency, and to make sure that's uphill. Has to be deliberate, right? It has to be deliberate. Otherwise, it won't be consistent. And consistency is one of the core things that I share with people in terms of opportunity to be successful. Quality product, quality service, all the time. And that all the time is so incredibly important, right? Because if you deliver great product and you deliver it through the great hands of great people, then you have to make sure that someone has the opportunity to have that same experience over and over and over again. It doesn't suffice to make it happen one time and not produce the next time.
Now, you just covered everything that happens, after you take the order and, it goes to the back of the kitchen. So we understand the consistency in operation, but then let's talk to us about that customer service piece. I know you mentioned once, and I've had this experience. I got a chance to meet the founder, or one of the founders of Dookie Chase's in New Orleans, and she really impressed upon me the importance of customer service. Talk to me about customer service and why that is a very big component of what you do at the Breakfast Club and your other brands.
I mean, it's quite simple. The customers are why we created the concept, right? We wanted them to come and enjoy. When you ask me what do, I create spaces where people come to fellowship, to create memories. If you think about restaurant, most people think it's about food, and the reality of it is it's not. It's more. It's about memories. When do you go to restaurants? You go to restaurants to celebrate someone's birthday. You go to restaurants to celebrate your wedding anniversary. You go to restaurants to celebrate graduation. Your friends are in town. All of these things are memorable moments that you are choosing this restaurant to participate in. So, I wanted to create a space where people do just that. And if I have not met their expectation, then we fail. But it's so important. I tell my team quite often that we have to understand the value of the customer. There are 87,000 restaurants in the city of Houston, and so when people decide to stop at 3711 Travis, they're making a deliberate effort and attempt to patronize us and to come and join in on what we're doing. And so we owe them the obligation, the responsibility of delivering through great food, great product, and consistency, great service.
I love that because as you know, in our community, any community really, there is a huge emphasis on customer service and on quality, and it sounds like you take that very seriously.
Yeah, there is a huge emphasis on service, and I have to speak on that, right? Because the unfortunate part is, let's deal with the reality, right? There are some restaurants, there are some businesses that don't have the service that meets that are up to par, right? But that's not a black thing, right? There are other there's bad service all across the board. I've been to white, I've been to Asian, I've been to you name it, businesses that did not meet the standard, whether it was a small mom and pop shop that made $5 a day, or a Fortune 500 company that made $5 billion. We have to apply the same standard of expectation across the board for service, because we will walk into a black-owned business and have a bad experience and swear we'll never come back. But we'll go to Kentucky Fried Chicken and wait 37 hours for the food and get talked bad to while we're getting it, and we'll go back the next week. So it has to apply across the board.
I appreciate that added insight. And, I'm intentional now. I make sure that I, spend a good majority of my dollars with Black-owned businesses, and I give feedback where needed. Now, I want to talk to you about something else real quick. You've enjoyed a lot of success for a long period of time. And, back when you
Say that
started,
again. Say that again.
you've enjoyed a lot of success for a long period of time, right? But back when you started,
Yeah.
you didn't have social media the way
Right.
that you do today. Talk to us about the evolution of how you, once reached your customer base to how you do now, how you reach your customer base now.
So let me start by why I asked you to repeat that again, right? Because I like people to make sure that they understand. I applaud and celebrate everybody that has success. And if you have any level of success, your next goal should be sustained success. There's a difference between success and sustained success. We're coming up on 2 decades of success on the corner of 3711 Travis, and I'm extremely excited about what we've done over the last 19 going on 20 years, the number of people, and sustained success allowed us to inspire a boatload of people, right? There are a ton of Black restaurants around here that have watched what we've been doing, and they have believed as a result of what we've been producing, and now they're out there, blowing it out of the water. So sustained success allows you to inspire others and instill a certain level of faith and believability. To the other part, yes, we are a successful company today, and we were in 2005 and 2004, right? For those who don't understand, the pre-IG and the pre-FB, there was a life before Facebook, there was a life before social media, and it is. I tell entrepreneurs, man, look, if you have a great product, you better be an overnight success, right? If you have a great product, you should hit it out the park off the rip, simply because the way of attracting customers, of gaining customers, of getting the word out has changed dramatically. In 2001, when we opened, or 1999, when I drew up the business plan, we didn't have this touch of the button to get national exposure, and that's what Instagram and Facebook and Twitter gives you the opportunity to do. It gives you the opportunity to reach across from the Atlantic to Pacific and get people to know who you are by the click of a button and at your fingertips. In 1999, when I drew that business plan up, that wasn't available to me. So I had to put together a strategy on how to become a nationally known restaurant at the corner of 3711 Travis. And make no mistake about it, that was our goal from day one. That wasn't something that we happened upon. That wasn't something that we got lucky. There's a little bit of luck in everybody, but that was part of the original goal, part of the original business plan that was written in 1999. We wanted to be known from LA to New York in the city of Houston. And so it included a simple business, marketing strategy. As every morning I would get up, I'd come into work, I'd go and grab about 10 to 15 boxes of muffins, and I go up and down the streets in my community in Midtown, and I would knock on business doors and introduce myself and hand them some muffins and some menus to the point where I became known as the Muffin Man. Here come the Muffin Man. And so that built some relationships with the business community, and they started joining us for lunch. As far as getting the traffic, we sit on the corner of Travis and Alabama. It's a very busy corner, but I started on a shoestring budget. I didn't have the major marketing dollars to reach all the folks. And again, we didn't have the click of a button for Instagram or Facebook. So every morning I'd get up, I'd go grab some flyers. And at 7 a.m., I'd step out on the corner of Travis and Alabama, and I would dart in the traffic. And if you gave me 2 seconds, I'd have a menu and a flyer in your window before you pulled off. So that was the guerrilla marketing that we used in 2001 to get to the point where we were recognized by the Houston Press, the Houston Chronicle, Texas Monthly, and then the big boys start calling Good Morning America, USA Today, Forbes magazine, Steve Harvey show. But it all started, with that guerrilla marketing, by the bootstraps.
I'm glad you said that, because everybody wants to go for the touchdown, right? They don't want to focus, inside the 10 yards and do the small things in order to grow their brand, right? And so what you just described is people can still do that today,
Oh,
Great.
look, man, I was driving the other day, and you got me thinking, and because I made some notes for my team, and I was driving the other day, and I was like, man, you know what? We need, it's time for a Jay-Z moment, right? We need to reintroduce ourselves because there's some new businesses in Midtown, and so while you do have access to Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, while you do have access to search engine optimization and blast emails and all that kind of good stuff. I, you know, there's nothing that beats building relationships face to face, one on one, when the pandemic is not going on, obviously. But getting to know your neighbor and your neighbor getting to know you.
Yeah, and we're going to touch on the pandemic here in a
Yeah.
second. And a question just came in from Ian Anderson, and they're asking about that business plan. How important is a business plan? How do you go about tackling the business plan when it comes to numbers and finance? And now the new thinking is just do it. Build your plan later. But just kind of talk to us about that briefly.
Well, again, I got in this game in '99, and every pulpit preached business plan, business plan, business plan. So that's the school that I am from, and I believe in the value of a business plan. I believe in the value of planning. Period. Point blank. Right. You have to put a plan together in order to be successful. If you call it your business plan, or if you call it something else, you have to put a plan or a strategy together if you want to be successful. I remember, I remember hearing a story, and it's about to come out here shortly. Serena and Venus's father, the urban legend is that he wanted to teach his kids tennis, and when he saw that they can hit, he put together a 72-page plan on how he was going to make them the number one tennis player in the world. Now, I can't speak to the whole truth of that, but just the idea sounds freaking fabulous, right? And it's a testament to what is absolutely possible when you put a plan together. The other thing about plans is it keeps you. It's like your GPS. It can tell you exactly where you are. Even if you want to change courses, right? You can take your pen, you can take a computer, and you can rewrite the new direction we're going in. But at least you have a map of where you are and how you're going to get to the next place. And lastly, here's what I think the most important part of it is. Yes, numbers are great, right? Measuring and monitoring where you are compared to your numbers, that's fine. But for me, the plan was not the numbers was not the greatest testament to the plan. The greatest testament to the plan for me was it brought to life what I was trying to do, right? You have an idea in your head, you put it down on paper. As you're putting it down on paper, you're breathing life into that word, right? I don't want to. Don't give me the.
It's not Sunday yet, Marcus.
Don't give me the preaching, because I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to. I'm gonna have to hit the offering button, and y'all gonna have to put my cash app up.
Yeah. Or PayPal.
Yeah, put my PayPal up. You're exactly right. But you have to breathe life into it. And additionally, for me, part of my story is, I told you, you asked me how did I make this transition. I found this spot. I went in and quit my job, but there was a whole 2-year gap in between the time I quit my job to the time I actually got to open the restaurant. That's a long time, brother. That's a hell of a long time of waiting, wanting, hoping that your dream is going to come into fruition. And there were lonely nights where, you sit there and you wonder, damn, when is this actually going to happen? And there are actually days where your faith is tested. And one of the things that I held on to was the plan that I had put in place, and most importantly, the vision that was in my head. And I encourage people, to take that vision and formulate it and keep it, and and mold it. And as you're planning your vision, that's all you got. When everybody else is laughing at you, when everybody else is deserting you, when everybody else is talking about you. I remember it took me so long to open the restaurant. I'm sorry, I'm going on, but it took me so long to open the restaurant that my nickname had become Marcus Gonna Open a Restaurant Davis, right? And now, lack of funding, lack of access, lack of opportunity, lack of experience, knowing how to go get money. But yeah, that's what the fellas call me behind my back, right? Marcus Gonna open. So I remember I was talking to some guys one day, and I walked away from them, and I got about 10 steps away. You know what I heard? Laughter.
Oh man,
I
that
just put it, I just put it in my gas tank and kept on going, baby.
that's all right because we laugh at now, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you know
without a
th-
doubt.
this next question almost kind of builds on the plan, and it steps into the pandemic a little bit. No one foresaw this, right? And I like to quote Mike Tyson. I don't know if you really said this or not, but it sounds like something he would say.
He
Is
said it. He said it. I heard.
everybody got a plan until they get knocked in the mouth, right?
Yeah,
Until they get busted in the mouth.
yeah,
And so pandemic comes around the corner and 47%, 42 to 47% of Black owned businesses get wiped out.
yeah.
How is it that you're able to navigate your way through the pandemic
Let,
and
let me
and continue on?
let me start by addressing something that you said, right? Um, you said that no one saw this coming. And I have to tell you that if you're going to have sustained success, then you have to look to the future and you have to look for things that you don't think are going to come, right? We look at people like, did I ever believe that we would have a pandemic? At some point in time, I believed that we did, simply because I saw other forward thinking people suggesting that it was, when you have somebody like Bill Gates, who you watch build his company into, the mega business that it is, and he walks away from, the company, and he's now focused on science, and he's walking around telling the world that one day we're going to have a pandemic, right? So you have to pay attention to things like that. So I did not. Did I know this was coming in February 2021, 2020? No. But did I think that it was possible? Yes. At each time that we got the bird flu or any of those other, the swine flu or any of those other little things hit, I would always ask myself, is this the one that's going to hit the United States of America, right? And a couple of them came close. A couple of them did come close. A couple of them, breached the United States and hit one or two people, three or four people. But of course, obviously, none of them like this. So, in my mind, I had stored that at some point in some time, this is going to happen in America, and we have to be prepared for it to happen. So much so that in November of 2019, December 2019, while I'm watching television, I'm seeing what's happening over in Wuhan, and I'm seeing what's happening over in Europe. I began to ask myself, okay, what happens if this comes to America? When Italy shut down from door to door, I began to ask myself, okay, is this the one that's going to make it to our front door? And if so, what are you going to do? And that's a habit that I developed from a mentor of mine who told me years ago. Said, take every situation and roll it as far left as you can and as far right as you can. Imagine the absolute best thing that can come out of this situation, and you have to imagine the absolute worst, and then you prepare yourself accordingly. And so I just had to throw that in there. So one of the ways I think that we were able to make it is that it was something that I at least had contemplated, something that I had thought about, something that I had began to kind of prepare myself for. And if that did nothing else, it nullified a part of the shock that we went into when this happened, right? Because the state of shock is real, and it can have you wondering, like nobody's business. So if it did nothing else, it nullified or numbed a portion of absorbed a portion of the shock that I received as an entrepreneur. Now, with that being said, how do we survive? First and foremost, the people who were willing to continue to commit to supporting this business. I think the goodwill that we had sown into this community over the last 19 plus years had done a couple of things that people knew that they could come here and get a quality product. They knew that we were going to uphold the standards to prevent our staff and those and the guests from contracting the virus as best we could. I believe people believed it was important to sustain us. So we were able to survive based on the people that decided that they would continue to support us through this business. And people come in today and say, man, I'm glad y'all made it through. I'm like, shit, I'm glad y'all pulled us through, because that's important. I can make no, I'm sorry.
This is a family-friendly show, Marcus, but we understand.
But that's what I tell those families when they sit there when they telling me, because I want them to understand and feel the gratitude that I have for them being willing to patronize this business in the most tumultuous time that we've seen in the American business life in the last 100 years. So we made it through by having a little bit of forethought, having a lot of support, and being an entrepreneur. When this happened, and when I laid in my bed in November, December, what if this happens? There was so much other stuff that I read about shifts in the world, shifts in the nation, and what took place. I am a big believer in history because history tells tomorrow's story. I may be biased because I taught 6th and 8th grade history, but history tells tomorrow's story. And when I've looked at major corporations across the country that survived through World War I and World War II, how they made a shift, how companies who once made Kleenex went to making artillery for the war. That's a hell of a shift that you have to make. And so you start asking yourself, what are we going to do differently? How do we fit into the shift that the universe is creating? What's our role? That's what the entrepreneur is about, finding the role, finding the need, listening to what the marketplace is calling for, and delivering. That's why the creator put that calling on the entrepreneur's back, to be able to listen, to be able to see, and to be able to deliver.
You really are touching on a lot of things. Actually, I'll back up a little bit. You look out
Yeah,
to
did I
other
answer your whole
businesses.
question?
Yes, you
answer
did.
it? Okay.
You did.
And full disclosure, y'all, if any of this interview goes off, it's not Phil, it's me. I'm the son, grandson, great grandson of Black Baptist preachers, and you put a mic in my hand, man, I lose it. I moved my mic intentionally.
Yeah. I'm glad you did. To see, we gave the censors the day off, but listen, we have time for two more questions. Two more
Okay.
questions came in, and I'm going to kind of rearrange the order of them. But you have someone in the audience who is opening their first restaurant in Houston, Texas, and they wanted to know about some of your biggest challenges in the industry outside of COVID. I would imagine, dealing with suppliers, dealing with customers, dealing with zoning issues, political climate. But you let us know what the biggest challenges are at the moment.
Well, look, if the person that's asking is not having funding trouble, if that's not an obstacle for them, man, hallelujah to you, right? Because access to capital is one of the biggest hurdles for entrepreneurs, for African American entrepreneurs, and specifically for restaurateurs. And the reason I say that is because we the restaurant industry is shunned on by the banks and lenders and things of that nature. So if you're past the funding obstacle, then I would, one, say congratulations to you. Two, if you believe you're past the funding obstacle, go back and check and double check and triple check again. And whatever amount of money you have that you think you need to open that business, ask yourself about the what ifs and the what abouts, right? That's all the stuff that you didn't write down, that you didn't think about, that you didn't consider. So I would encourage you to go back and do as much. Phil, I'm gonna tell you something, man. There's so much that you learn. I ran restaurants for $1 billion corporation and ran them well. Made my name, my reputation by taking stores that had lost $250,000 in the store, and then in the next year made that store profitable, right? So I knew how to run a restaurant. That I could do that in my sleep, but I prefer to do it waking up. But but the reality of it is knowing the business of the restaurant. So here's what I would share with them. Make sure you know the business of the restaurant, because one, restaurant is not about food. I told you sentimentally, restaurant is about memories. You're creating a space where people are going to celebrate some things, just life on a day-to-day basis or special occasions. Two, that's sentimentally, right? Figuratively and literally, restaurant is not about food. Restaurant is about logistics. When people ask me, I want to open a restaurant, I would ask them why. If they give me two answers, I would try my best to deter them. If you told me it was because you want to make a lot of money, I'd tell you go do something else, man. There are a lot more ways to make a lot of money than a restaurant, just simply because of the margins and the level of work and intensity that it takes. If you tell them because you love to cook, I would tell you call your grandmother, call your auntie, and tell them to come over Sunday because you're gonna cook. Because once you get in this bad boy, it ain't about the cooking no more. It's about logistics. It's about how do you get product in the back door? How do you get the people in the back door? How do you get the product to the table for the people that are coming in the front door, and what type of marketing advertising do you do to actually get people to come in the front door, and all that stuff has to work together, and it has to happen, bam, at the same time. So logistics is what this business is about, right? Product and people in the back door, people in the front door. How do they meet at the table at the same time that the plate, that the grits are hot and they're landing there? And that includes all of the intricate pieces of dishwasher, the busser, the fry cook. I mean, it's a it's like open a restaurant is like looking in the back of a watch. You remember when we was younger, we take the back out of the watch and we look at it, we're like, man, what the
Before the digital, when it had the gears.
you got all of this.
Yeah.
That's what running a restaurant is like. So your biggest opportunity outside of COVID is making sure you know the business, making sure that you know about your sales tax, making sure that you know about your employees, your 940s, your 941s, making sure you know about all the licenses. I know people who were in business and was like, man, I didn't know I was supposed to do that, right? And that's not, and I don't, it's not uncommon. It's not uncommon. It was something I had to learn as well. So make sure you go and learn all of those things and know those things. Find you a CPA today, not tomorrow. Don't wait till I'm gonna wait till I'll start making me a lot of money. Nope. Find you one today. Make that investment today. Find you a lawyer today and make that investment today. The reason I say this is because the lease you sign, you may open a great restaurant and find out you got a lease. See how I did that? See that sensor up here? You see that?
I'm glad you caught it.
You might open that bad boy and you find out that your lease is jacked up, or you might open it with a partner and y'all don't have an understanding of who owns what and yada yada yada. So get your legal and your financial affairs in order as early as you can. I know that's hard. That's easy to say and it's hard to do at the beginning of the business because all you're trying to do is get plates on the table, keep the lights on, and feed the people. And pay the people that's working for you. That's all we're focused on at the beginning. Those 4 things, right? But it's so much bigger than that, and you got to find a way to get those things done. Get you some legal counsel, get you some financial advising, and make sure you understand the business of the restaurant and not the restaurant business.
Now, Marcus, all that sounds like it takes a ton of time, and that brings us to this last question. You run a successful restaurant, you run multiple brands in different locations of the city. You have other business interests, you have other interests outside of just the food industry. Talk to us about work-life balance and how you manage family, and business. Talk to us about what folks might do in order to keep it all in balance or in harmony.
Here's my formula, and it might not be for everybody, but my formula is I keep them close. Right, I keep them close. My daughter is in my office right now in the next room. Right, my wife's desk is right next to me. Right, my kids when COVID hit and they didn't go into the classroom, they came into my office and they did their work here every day. Even when school is going on, we might come to breakfast in the morning, pick up some breakfast on the way to taking them to school, and they come back to the office in the afternoon. We live very close to work. So for me, proximity is incredibly important. That may not be everybody's formula, but how do I do it? I keep it close. And awesome. The other part of how I do it is, I'm very deliberate, right? My son is getting ready to go into his senior year, and I have already mapped out that, hey, I'm going to spend a lot of time hanging out with him and his games. He just plays basketball, in his senior year. So that I've already said that ahead of time. This is July, this is August. So I know for the next, 8-9 months that, my time in the store is going to be different just based on him being in the senior year. So you've got to be deliberate about your time.
Gotcha. Keep them close and be deliberate. Who's
Yeah.
the better basketball player, you or your son?
Oh, man, look. Look, I had a rule. I said, as long as I can beat him until, his sophomore year, then I'm good. Because I knew by that time he would start to gain some muscle and get some height. I figured by that time he'd be my height, if not taller or fast, and all that stuff has come true. Well, not stronger, of course. You can start. I'll be 50 in a few weeks, and you got that old man. You remember you used to play with them old men,
old school.
That old man strength, right? So
yeah.
to answer your question, you know, I'm a deuce and a quarter plus. He's still 125 soaking wet. So until he can stop me from backing him down, he can't. He's taller than me. He's 6'2", going on 3. You know, he kind of strong, but he can't stop this from the quarter backing him down. I will
You can't stop the train.
I will Barkley him for 15 points and call it a day.
Oh man. Well, I'll tell you what, Marcus, this has been awesome. There's one more thing that I have to get you to just kind of share a statement on. You and the Breakfast Club and all your brands are a member of the Greater Houston Black Chamber of Commerce. Can you talk to us about the importance of Black-owned businesses being a part of an organization, not just your local organization, but national organizations like the U.S. Black Chambers, which the Texas Chamber is a part of?
Yeah.
Talk to us about the importance of working together as a community in these organizations to strengthen our community.
Look, I'm gonna say this, and I'm glad you're recording it because I want to make sure that if y'all take it, that I will at least have the proof that it's mine, and y'all gonna pay me for it. Networking builds net worth. Net worth builds network. It's that simple, man. When you build your network, you have the opportunity to build your net worth. When you build your net worth and you participate in an organization, you have the opportunity to build that network. And it is as simple as that. You know, being able to be around amongst other people like-minded who are committed to doing great business. Also being a part of an organization that's committed to building itself and building the community around it is incredibly important. And here's one of the things that I would tell people, because I've been an advocate and an ambassador for Black Chambers, you know, for quite a while now. And people are like, hey man, are you a member of a chamber? Join a chamber. Even my vendors, my suppliers, I tell them, hey, you should join the chamber. You should join the chamber. I want to do business with people who doing business with the chamber. And why is that important? Because the chambers matter. They have an opportunity to be advocates for our interests. They have so while you're working on your business, chambers can work on how your business can be successful, right? I love being able to pick up the phone and call in organizations that I'm affiliated with that can be an advocate for something that we, you know, and which I'm going to do right now. We need the United States Chamber, Black Chamber, to advocate for Congress refilling the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, right? Congress put forth a fund that helped restore the first place that every municipality told shut down at the beginning of COVID, which was bars and restaurants, right? So Congress put forth a fund to help restore those businesses. And it was particularly important because it was deliberate for people of color, for minorities. And two things happened. One, the fund ran out. Two, those that were not minorities fought it legally and caused the flow of the funds to run out. So everybody that's listening, we need to write your congressperson and ask them to replenish the Restaurant Revitalization Fund and the chamber. All right, back to the chamber. I just can't stress enough. And here's the one thing that I tell people when they say, well, what's the chamber going to do for me? That's not the question, buddy. The question is, what can you do for the chamber? What can you bring to the table to help this organization bigger, better, stronger, to the point where it can do something for the businesses that are out here? That's my spiel, and I'm sticking to it. Networking builds your net worth. Your net worth helps you build the network.
Oh man, I love that response because you started out with the networking, build your network.
Man, that's a good looking dude over there. That boy, look at that boy.
Oh, man, stay on script.
Okay, my bad.
And also, you know, chambers get involved in advocacy, right? And so that's incredibly important. Man, we can't keep doing this, but listen, I really do appreciate you being here. The USBC thanks our special guest, Marcus Davis. Marcus Davis founded the Breakfast Club and all of his many brands. He gives in service of the community. We definitely appreciate you and your time. We want you all to stay tuned over the next couple of Fridays with Phil, where we have some future guest appearances by Kevin Knight of Urban Events Global, who runs a very impressive and successful travel and entertainment company. And Warren Broadnax of Cheese Happy Hair will be here later in the month as well. So we made sure to get some of the very best special guests to come through and to provide us with as much information as possible. So very, very appreciative, Marcus. Marcus, any last words you want to give to us before we go into the weekend?
Yes, I want to stress that, we're talking about Black business. We're talking about Black Business Month. I want to stress the fact that this is not an option, right? As African Americans, we have grown out of a level of comfort, a level of complacency, a level of contentment to believe that our role in supporting Black business, building Black business, strengthening Black business is an option. I've had people tell me that a ton of times. I got my degree, I make my money, and I have the option to do what I want. No, you do not. You have a debt to pay. All of those folks that broke those shackles, that broke those chains, that busted out of slavery, that risked their life, that didn't get out of slavery to get us to get to the next point, and those that bust their butt and gave their life to get us out of Jim Crow. There's a debt that's owed to them, and that is to be every doggone thing that they dreamt of, everything that they could not be, everything they were denied. So you are not entitled to an option of sitting out. It is your obligation, your responsibility to build Black business, our community, to lift the knee of the oppressor off of our neck.
I love it. That's why I gave you the last word, sir, and that's why we led off National Black Business Month with Marcus Davis. Everyone in attendance today, I want to thank you all for attending, and I'm getting a lot of good comments coming in about this last statement, and everyone is thanking you, Marcus, for this. So I want to thank you all. I want to wish you all a very happy and safe weekend. If you are in Houston, be sure to stop by and visit the Breakfast Club and all their many brands. So Marcus,
and if you're not, go to thebreakfastclub.com and get you some seasoning and some waffle mix.
Guerrilla marketing at its best right there. All right. Thank you all. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Marcus. We'll talk later. Thank you.
Thank you.